All right, welcome back, fellow TFFL owners, to another TFFL webcast. It is Wednesday. What is it? October 3rd, 2018. We're in the middle of our season now. We're looking back this week at week 4 action, looking ahead to week 5. I think we're now officially at the stage where people can panic a little bit. I know Hank in particular has started musing about whether he should be making moves to bolster his roster. I'm sure other owners are doing the same. Quick headlines. Boba Fett's unbeaten streak now at 16 straight games.
Wow.
Boba Fett's the only unbeaten team left in the 2018 season, still technically undefeated. One tie on their record. And, of course, the Boba Fett's almost breaking the all-time scoring record in week 4. 127 points, I believe.
If not for Travis Kelce getting knocked out there, out of bounds in the end zone, he would have had it.
And this is all on the heels of us, of course, last week questioning whether the Boba Fett's had a weak link in having too many Rams. And I know Rob's sitting there laughing at us, but I'm not sure that the 80 points he got out of his 3 Rams this week necessarily proves or disproves that point. You can look at it one of two ways. If he doesn't get those 80 points, how much did the rest of his lineup put up? 47. If the Rams fall on their faces, he's suddenly very vulnerable. But
I submit, if you take 80 points off anybody's score, they probably lose.
Yeah. We'll see. The Fats are obviously a very, very strong team right now that has not been beaten in a long time. So kudos to them. Hey, we had another tie this week. My game, the Alien Senators, great game, 86-86. Second tie in the TFFL this year. I believe we have 2 ties in the NFL this year. Ties are all the rage. That will probably throw somewhat of a wrench into the playoff picture down the line, all these teams with ties. Beavers and Sponge falling to 0-4, unfortunately, guys. We have a big trade to talk about this week, so lots starting to go on. Let me quickly introduce the panel as always. I am Stick, General Manager of TFFL Media, joined as always by Chief, former Commissioner, Skipper of the Sponge Fisherman, Terry.
Tough job these days.
Yep, Terry, our current Commissioner and active leader of the Steel City Mongols.
Hello.
Terry, do you have an official title on the Mongols?
I guess we'll call myself majority owner and managing director of the Mongols.
Managing director. Okay, good.
Just made it now.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yes.
Nice.
I think he's probably Terry Khan or something.
Hank, czar and CEO of the K-Wheels, our IT director, running a nice tight ship here tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Good to be here. Sad the K-Wheels are putting up 86 points in a loss. I guess 86 is the kiss of death this week. Or not death, but we had a tie. It was not enough to win in any case. So
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, 6 teams had 86 or higher. I mean, we had a lot of teams scoring very well this week.
Lots of high scores.
Our last introduction, of course, Berto from Jack's Giant Killers. Berto, did you just get a promotion, by the way?
I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well done.
I did have something else, though. I just got my copy of the Mystic Messenger in the mail. And for those non-betas watching at home, so this is our fraternity newsletter. And I'm happy to report this name that's circled here. I don't know if you can see it. Is Robert Long paid his alumni dues.
Paid my dues, my $35 dues.
He was the only name on here that I recognize. So I just wanted to call that out, Stick, and I'm extremely, extremely proud of you. I was gonna do the opposite of a rant, but I figured I'd just do it during the introduction. So well done, Stick.
Somebody had to do it.
well done. That is very good of you.
Somehow they suckered me out of $35. But, all right.
I didn't recognize any other names who paid except Robert Ross.
Rob Ross. Every year he's on there.
Yeah.
Good for the Roberts. All right, TFFL trivia time. Let's kick things off with a question you can mull over for the rest of the show. I hope our at-home viewers are doing the same. So, as I said, ties are all the rage right now. A couple of them through week 4 in the TFFL, a couple in the NFL through week 4, on pace for 6 of them, I guess, throughout the year. And I'll tell you, if we were to get to 6 ties in 2018, that would be the record. There's lots of questions I could ask you about ties, and if you have any questions for me about the history of ties in the TFFL, I can probably answer them.
Yours is missing.
What's that?
I'm used to seeing a tie on you every webcast.
Yes. So here's the simple question I will ask you that involves a little bit of guesswork, but maybe not as much as some of the others. How long is it? I mean, ties are unusual. There's a reason I'm talking about them. It's interesting. We've had 2 already. Ties are unusual. How long has it been since we last had a tie in the TFFL? I'll give you a point if you can get within 1 year of the correct year.
So we're looking for a year, just to
the last season in which we had a tie. How far back do you have to go? Berto, I mean, that was one you might have been able to get if you were studying the archives.
I did not study the archives tonight.
All right.
So it'll be a guess, but
yep. But it'll be it will reveal just how infrequently we have ties in the TFFL. All right, TFFL standings. I know Hank is still lacking a printer.
Yeah.
I trust you can show us. You know, we're about a third of the way through the season. I think you're going to show us 7 teams with winning records. So at least one of those teams not on track to make the playoffs. I mentioned 2 teams at 0-4. Show us everybody here.
All right. Well, first, as you've already mentioned and given the proper kudos, our leading team is the Frams, which
Nice.
right now is really doing great. I mean, 16 in a row is something else. So well done, Fats. And they're 3-1 team that is not taking a loss yet this season because the K-Wheels sadly joined this group at 3-1, and we have the K-Wheels, the Devils, who beat the K-Wheels this past week, and sadly, the Amsterdam Packers are also evil and on this list. Okay, but we also are going to go, and this is where we get the 7 number, have 3 teams at 2-1-1, thanks to the Sens Hams tie earlier this year, and the Aliens, who also were involved in the tie earlier this year. So all 3 of these teams are currently parked at 2-1-1. And yes, there's not room in the playoffs for all of the teams with winning records right now, but I'm sure it'll sort itself out. We are only in week 4. All right. So then let's look at the rest of the league. I'm gonna do a little thing here. So that the only 2-2 team in the league is the Mongols. And Terry, that's not a horrible start. I know you've been the bearer of some bad starts recently. That's not too bad.
That's not the worst start I've had.
Exactly. However, one of our other panelists and our what is it? Our 2016 champion we figured out 2 years ago with the Lizards, maybe 3. Are sitting there at 1-3 in need of a win here and need to turn things around. But the Killers, I guess let's not be too down on them. They did get themselves off this list. This is the list where you do not want to be. This is the list that says we have not yet won a game. And Beavers and Sponge, I've been where you are. I'm sad that you're there, but you're 0-4 and looking at things have got to change now, or you got to start looking at the mirror and is this going to be your year? So 0-4, a little bit of a hole that maybe it's deep. So good luck to everyone out there, and that's where we stand.
No, forgive me if I misspoke earlier and said the Killers were 0-4. Very well could have been. That was another really tight game this week. You can see why Bill wanted to trade away Demaryius Thomas. He did nothing.
Well, that last pass wasn't Demaryius Thomas's fault, though.
No, that was
done. He was wide open.
He was wide open.
Yep.
Keenum sailed it.
So Terry, your turn. Rants, reminders, notes, initiatives. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm not much of a rant guy. I'll save that for those who have a lot to get off their chest. But No, everything is in my opinion, and you guys can tell me if you disagree, has been going pretty smoothly. I haven't had any problems with really Byzantine FAIR requests, so everything has been working pretty smoothly.
Terry, I just want to say that I think the league appreciates your general calm handling of the league. I think that maybe the dramatic efforts you maybe pointed at my direction, I maybe sometimes resemble that. So I'll try and wave that flag when needed.
Yes.
But you're doing a great job and keeping us going right where we need to be. And well done. Keep it going.
Terry's not a wartime consigliere, so
yeah,
we're not at war, so he's good.
Not at war.
You're not at war. This is good, though. This is good.
Many more years of labor peace.
All right, let's get into our roundtable chat. I've got 4 topics teed up for us tonight. We're going to talk about the running backs at all costs concern that some are expressing. We're going to talk about the Lizards in particular. We're going to talk about the big trade, the Drew Brees trade that the Mongols just pulled off. And Hank, we're going to talk about the K-Wheels tonight. So we'll focus on a couple franchises. We'll talk about a strategy, have a strategy session, and we'll talk about a big trade. So let's talk about running backs at all costs. I think Michael Giovenko in particular has been the one lamenting many franchises' decision, I think especially at the keeper deadline, to really load up on running backs, in some cases some mediocre or injured or suspended running backs. And so I did a little digging to see exactly who folks are referring to when they talk about the folly of taking running backs at all costs. I think we're talking about the slippery beavers, who I know I could probably dig up the email, said to me at one point, I have to keep 4 running backs. It's why he was trying to trade away Demaryius Thomas. It's why he traded away Jared Goff, didn't keep 2 quarterbacks perhaps. He kept 4 running backs, Marlon Mack being the 4th. Hasn't played this year, if I'm correct. Still nursing the hamstring injury. When he comes back, will not be probably not a keeper-worthy running back at that point. He's going to be getting spot carries. We're talking about the sponge, keeping 5 running backs. I know one of them, Aaron Jones, was suspended, but 5 running backs. I think we're talking a little bit about Jack's giant killers, keeping Alf Morris in particular over Matt Ryan.
Agreed. Both
the killers and the sponge, keeping 49ers running backs, perhaps based on breaking news of McKinnon's injury as we approach the keeper deadline. And when you look at the 3 franchises I just rattled off, we're talking about the 0-4 Beavers, the 0-4 Sponge, and the 1-3 Giant Killers. Coincidence, or is there something to the concern that the people are loading up too much on mediocre running backs?
So I'll jump in here. So I call it the hoarding mediocre running back theory by Michael Giovenko. And I fell into that trap this year, I think, with Alf. So I probably should have just, maybe kept Galladay or whatever. But you get excited, you see this, the starting running back go down, and you have a guy, but he's not even the full-time guy because Breida's there. So, but yeah, maybe I should have been thinking a little bit further long-term and kept a better player. But yeah, I mean, it happens, and the TFFL is so running back dependent that you just get reeled in, and you get suckered into just fortifying that and putting up the barricades as much as you can with your running backs, and you will sometimes do it at the detriment of keeping a young receiver who's got potential and is probably a better long-term play for the immediate gratification of keeping that running back.
Well, I don't think I fit into that category at all. Did I keep 5 running backs? Yes. My first running back in the draft was in the 8th round. So what are you gonna say? We're better to keep 4 running backs or 3 running backs and make my first 3 or 4 picks running backs, like a lot of people do? I mean, which is really overvaluing running backs. Ours is a little bit unique circumstance anyway. You know, so with who is actually going to be available to me. But I mean, if Mark Ingram were available, I would have kept him, and maybe not Breida, but I still would have kept at least 4 running backs. But I've been doing that since I got into the league, and I think, as you've said many years, I tend to take a wide receiver or more often than not, or a non-running back in the first round. So it's just a matter of strategy. You know, I could keep a receiver, or I could take the best receiver in the first round of the draft, and that's the way I usually lean on that.
I just to be clear, just to clarify one point, I think it did make more sense for Chief to keep Breida than it probably did for me to keep Alf. You know, more upside with Breida, younger. We know what Alf is, but I also was like, I need a running back, and you know, and maybe that wasn't the right choice. So,
running backs. I mean, sorry, just quick, you know, running backs have always been the gold in our league, and that's because we're 12 teams. We have 3 possible slots where you can start them. I think we definitely helped ourselves when we added the tight end as a sub in for the running back, where it's not, you know, got to be 3 running backs. You know, so, but even finding 2 good ones is sometimes hard. You know, I mean, I kept Devontae Booker, you know, but I already had, you know, I also kept 4 receivers. So I didn't really have anybody that good, and I was confident with Barkley. But I think a lot of it is roster dependency. I mean, you look at Chiefs roster, and as he said, you know, he went into the draft knowing he was going to use early picks on wide receivers, when most of the rest of us are grabbing running backs. And that's just a difference in approach and strategy. Running backs still probably are overly valued or needed in our league, but that's just because it's scarce, and we all watch this a lot and know who's good. And you know, so I think you try and grab a chip in the running back department when you can.
Yeah. It's a valid theory, and I can remember Michael has been talking about this for several years, and I think we all fall into it to a certain extent for the same reasons Hank just brought up, lineup reasons. There's just not a lot of them out there. You know, I think trading the 4th round pick for Peyton Barber, you know, maybe fall into that category for me right before the keeper deadline. And, you know, there's a reason Peyton Barber was available, and there's a reason that, you know, he's not doing anything. He's just not that good. And there's a lot of backs like Peyton Barber out there. So, I mean, I may have been better served to keep D.D. Westbrook than Peyton Barber. But, yeah, it's a valid theory, but I'll tell you, it's tough to lay off the running backs when you have a chance to get what you think would be not even a great one, a serviceable one sometimes.
Yeah, and I probably fell into this category a little bit this year too. I was always going to keep 4 running backs, but I you know, in keeping Latavius Murray over Dante Foreman, I was doing it because I felt like I needed guys I needed as many running backs who were going to be serviceable as possible. And maybe in hindsight, I would perhaps keep Foreman over Murray, given that Murray has not been very productive. But I did have to use Murray 2 weeks this year. I proved that you need that depth. Unfortunately, Murray just didn't come through. The counter argument to Michael would be Michael at our pre-draft dinner was giving Hank shit for keeping 4 receivers. Michael has given me shit in years past, and maybe others, for keeping 2 quarterbacks. So perhaps Michael's real argument here is you've got to have a balanced keeper list: 1 quarterback, 3 running backs, 3 receivers, and that's a different discussion. But I think he's really, you know, been all over the map here in terms of criticizing the volume of keepers at different positions.
He's just gaslighting all of us.
Yeah,
he's enjoying.
No, you can keep 5 running backs, but you got to be good 5 running backs.
Yeah, so I know I have said on this webcast in years past, I totally believe in running backs at all costs when you're talking about a chance to get a stud running back. And I've proven that over the years with my trades for Marshall Faulk many years ago, for Sean Alexander, getting the 1st round pick that was Trent Richardson, even though that didn't work out. But you have to go get top stud running backs if you somehow have the chance. I guess, and I think a lot of us seem to agree with Michael that when you're talking about keeping 4 or 5 running backs or trading for a guy like Peyton Barber just to get somebody who can play, that's maybe not always such a wise move. And yeah, there's some validity to that. Let's talk about the Lizards now. And I'm not quite sure what my question is or what my answer would be. I get my question to you guys is sort of what do you make of this franchise? I don't know. We're talking about the 2016 Pac Bowl champions. We're talking about a franchise, I think, that before 2016 was in the Pac Bowl 2 straight years prior.
Yep.
That suddenly missed the playoffs last year. 1-3 overall thus far this year. 0-2 in the division. Already 2.5 games and a tiebreaker behind the Boba Fats. There's just something not right here, and I can't quite figure it out. When I look at the Lizards lineup, I think the worst piece there I see maybe is Cam Newton. I know from owning Cam for many years that he's very inconsistent. He hasn't started 2 of the 4 weeks thus far for the Lizards. But God, they've got great receivers. They've drafted some strong running backs in recent years. What do you make of this franchise?
So I think with the Lizards, I mean, they've been a very successful team, and they put up 250 points this year, which is beating several teams in the TFL, and they've had 281 scored against them, which is on the high side. Only rivaling points against with the Sponge and the Killers. So they've got a little bit of bad luck and a little bit of some of the players haven't shown up. And I think you're right. The biggest issue is Cam, because you look at the receivers, and I looked earlier, they have I think it's the 6th, 7th, and 8th ranked receivers right now. So we've always known that those receivers are great. And you got Kareem Hunt, who's been pretty good, so everyone's okay except Cam. Cam is a 16th ranked quarterback. And if you look at what the quarterbacks are doing in the NFL this year, they're going nuts. And I think that's leading to some of the high scores that we've had, obviously, in the CFL, because these quarterbacks are going crazy. So that has been, that's been an issue. So Cam Newton is the issue. I mean, that to me sticks out like a sore thumb. He is the problem right now for the Lizards.
I just real quickly, but I know I brought this up to Stick a bit. Just look at it. Their roster looks great. I mean, Kerryon Johnson looks like a good draft pick. Jordan Howard is, I guess, been taking a little bit of a hit with Tariq Cohen playing so well. He's got Gostkowski at kicker in the Ravens defense. I mean, even all the little things are in line for this team. So it's got to be Cam that's not delivering, and even Rich knows that because Case Keenum. Well, I guess Cam had a bye this week,
right?
But I guess that's irrelevant. But Cam isn't getting it done, and maybe, just maybe, it's the curse of trading Andrew Luck to the Sponge. But the Sponge are 0-4, so you can't even really say that.
Listen, Blizzard's just being snake bit in the fact that their guys aren't scoring touchdowns. It's really one of the things that's troubling me too. Yeah, the yards look good. Does Odell Beckham have a touchdown yet this year? If he does, I missed it.
Yeah.
Does Adam Thielen have a touchdown this year? I saw one.
1, 2, 3,
a highlight thing.
5, 6. Yeah, but Chief, like I said earlier, their receivers, according to our stats year to date, are 6th, 7th, and 8th. Now, granted, Beckham isn't one of those, but Michael Thomas, Thielen, and Evans are 6, 7, and 8.
And that is part of the issue. Is Beckham is not one of them yet. Beckham, I think, has been in the starting lineup while Thielen has been on the bench more than once. I think scoring points.
That's fair.
But I'm sure by the end of the year, it might be too little, too late. He might be too far behind. He's in a tough division right now. He's had some bad luck scheduling, but he's not scoring. But I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. I think his team will be fine. It's just as he's going to be fine quickly enough to compete. We'll see.
Just one thing. Andy Dalton's got 20 more points than Cam Newton. So
Andy Dalton's been in some shootouts this year.
Yeah,
he's put up some points.
Joe Flacco's got more points,
and that's maybe another thing too. Cam Newton, the Panthers really haven't been in these high scoring games.
Yeah.
Wait till they play the Saints or Falcons or the
Well,
Bucs. I haven't played any of them yet.
I guess maybe that isn't fair either because they were on bye, so I forget about that. But so that's one game that was there. So,
but yeah, I mean, Cam is probably the weak link. Great receivers, but I think that one thing Rich has got to be careful of. I think that he's been in some bad luck. There'll be a reversion to the mean. He'll probably get some wins later that he shouldn't, but I don't think you can start yo-yoing your quarterbacks back and forth and looking at weekly matchups. That's hard to do. That's hard to do. Some people make it work, but that's hard to do.
Actually, the Boba Fatts did that very well last year with Stafford and Prescott, but I get your point. Chief, I think, mentioned this. I'll just echo it. I think, yeah, there's been some bad luck. Everybody has acknowledged that. But I think also being in the division he's in, the Aliens have been a very good team the last 4 years. The Boba Fatts have obviously been a dominant team the last couple of years. And I think that's the issue now is they're, again, 2.5 games back, the Fats and the tiebreaker. It would be a bit of a stretch at this point to say the Lizards, can come back and win this division. They're going to have a tough time doing that. They're likely pushing for a wild card. And at 1-3, they're in the same position I think they were in last year, where they may be able to get better, but end up at 6-7, especially with all these teams with buys. 6-7 is most certainly not going to make the playoffs. 7-6 might not. So we'll see if they can come back. But there's a lot of talent on that team for sure. All right, Terry, let's talk about your Drew Brees trade. It was funny. We wrapped up last week's webcast, starting to hint at the Hams having 2 stud quarterbacks and would they trade one of them, and we got our answer within 24 hours.
Yeah. Well,
first off, were you working on that trade already prior to that the webcast?
Michael and I had a very short discussion. Yes, I would be interested. Let's put something together, but we hadn't discussed any specifics at that point. But I had 2 goals. When Jimmy G went down, after I shook it off, I didn't want to trade Darius Geis if possible, and I didn't want to give up my first-round pick. So I was able to accomplish that. A second-rounder, you throw in a Ty Montgomery, get a Javorius Allen, the stuff around the edges. Maybe I could have done better, but I got a good quarterback.
You got a great quarterback.
Yeah, well, he pissed me off by getting 3 points this week, but that's par for the course. I think that was just his silent protest about getting traded to the Mongols. But he's over that. He's over that now. He's going to be back in the Dome this weekend, and I look for better days ahead. But yeah, those are my 2 goals: not trade Geis and not give up my number 1. And when I was able to get that done, we went ahead and pulled the trigger. BV didn't even fight me on it, so it was a pretty smooth transaction.
That's the question I was going to ask. What happened in the Mongols brain trust to get that trade through Badass? That was no issues.
No issues. No issues. I think we got all that bad blood out over the summer in the Jimmy G trade. We had a couple of shout fests over the phone about that trade, but we've worked it out since then.
What did Kramer say down in Myrtle? Badass, where TFFL trades go to die.
When you get the response, I'll check with Bob. Just forget about it.
I'm like, no.
Yeah,
it helps to be able to use your co-owner as a shield in trade negotiations like that.
Yeah. Sure, it's always
just like Connor for you, right, Stick? You tell him Connor's not really on board.
Sorry, Kramer. Yeah, Connor doesn't want to do this trade. Sorry. Talk to Connor, Kramer.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 2 years ago,
Chris Johnson.
an owner offered me a number 1 for Eddie Lacy, and for whatever reason, we tabled the trade until after that week's games. And that was the weekend Eddie Lacy hurt his ankle and basically fell off the face of the earth. And I was like, damn it, I'm not going to let that happen again. And, so when I thought I was getting good value for Devonta Freeman, I went ahead and made the trade. And, maybe I traded Freeman a year early, or didn't trade Lacy a year late. But I so regret that Eddie Lacy trade. I'm not going to watch your running back deteriorate in front of my eyes again. If I can get good value, I'm going to move forward. So,
Terry, I brought up Chris Johnson because actually this trade reminded me of that. You clearly, when Garoppolo went down and you went out and made the Breeze trade, are saying that you're not a rebuilding team, or maybe you're trying to thread the needle and do both. But obviously you're going for it this year. You got the Beavers at 0-4. Again, I saw that with the Chris Johnson trade. You guys have been bold a couple times now in recent years when you see a chance.
Yeah, well, I could have, there was a thought, wait a week, see how I do, see where I am in 2 weeks. But I mean, then I'm putting in an FA move for Eli or Tannehill, and we know where that's going to get you. So at 2-1 at the time, I said, yeah, I'm going to play to win. Let's roll the dice. So I didn't have to give up a number 1 or Darius Geis to do it. So
I like it.
The Mongols they swept the division. They have that going, which is a nice half a game against the Devils if you can get it even, and that you're only 1 game back of that. So I think the Mongols are in good shape, and I applaud the move. Well done, Terry.
We need some guys to step up. Maybe Drew Brees can provide some leadership and get some of these guys to play better. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Can only go up.
I hear it.
Anybody else on the Breeze trade?
I'll just, from the Hams perspective, I mean, going back to what we talked about earlier with the hoarding mediocre running back theory and whatever, all that. But Michael kept the 2 quarterbacks, and he didn't trade Mahomes. I mean, we've talked about this already, and good move. And he got value for Breeze, and he's got a stud quarterback now. And so good trade all around. So certainly a good trade for Michael as well. But nothing that we haven't talked about before. So kudos to both.
And not to go back too far in this discussion about the 4 running backs and Michael's theory and whatnot, but it just goes to show you keep the 7 best players you got. And if you got 2 really good quarterbacks and you don't have a good 3rd running back or a good extra receiver, and you should keep both quarterbacks, great, do it, and don't worry about it. I think it's silly to think that you should either have to line up the 1-3-3 combo, because that would rule out, tight ends or I guess you could count them as one or the other. But yeah, that's silly to me. You keep the 7 best players you got.
Because you know who Michael Giovenco would have told you to release from your keeper list is Robert Woods, who's been having a great season.
Exactly. And Robert Woods was one of my better players.
Yep.
I should have released Devontae Booker and kept somebody else that I had. I don't know who, but somebody else.
It's all, Chief made this very clear. It's all a matter of context. I didn't have 1st and 2nd round picks. I needed to make sure I had 4 good running backs. Chief was lacking a lot of draft picks. Needed to keep 5 running backs. If you got, and in Michael's case, he kept 2 quarterbacks, and they were 2 stud quarterbacks, as it turns out. There's nothing wrong with that. Keeping 5 mediocre running backs, keeping 2 mediocre quarterbacks, that's where you get into problems. But if you got 7, keep your 7 best players. All right. Final topic. Let's get back to focusing on one particular franchise here. We're going to talk about the K-Wheels. We could have maybe talked about them last week when they were the only team that was unblemished at 3-0. They're now 3-1, but it's 3-1. Their loss is a loss in which they scored 86 points. The K-Wheels are scoring, but are they for real? And you can, no offense to Hank, you don't have to go very far back to see in 2017 this was the worst team in the TFFL. They got the number 1 overall draft pick. that even in the 2018 draft this year took 4 rookie running backs, a rookie receiver, and a rookie quarterback. So in some senses, this is very much a rebuilding team. But here they are. They're 3-1, atop their division. And Hank, I'll let you rant about being atop the division. And you could take this opportunity if you want.
Yeah. Quickly.
Go ahead. Perfect. Yeah.
Pisses me off with the journalist emails that we get when they're ranking the AMPAC ahead of me in the standings, and it's on the site for whatever reason. I'm 2-0 in the division, and yet I guess they're basing it off of points scored or whatnot. But the K-Wheels lead the division, and we should be getting the credit for that in the journalists' round.
I love your ongoing battle with the fans.
Listen, I love the AI. I think the fact that they can write the articles without really even doing anything is really freaking cool. But the subtleties are where it gets me now. And it's like, God.
I just find it to be an outlet.
Interestingly enough, the 3-1 Wheels, who are atop the division, that's a fact, are according to the site, a 5-point dog to the Beavers this weekend.
So
now I don't know. It looks like you have a complete lineup out there. I'm not positive, but the Beavers at 0-4 don't have a bad looking roster either.
We're talking about the 3-1 division leading K-Wheels. Here's my question: can they keep it up? Will they win the division? Will they be a playoff team?
I'll jump in.
You're all afraid to answer.
Everybody's silent.
I'm pondering.
It's a tough question.
Yeah, they'll be a playoff team. I don't know. Yes, they will be a playoff team. Yeah, they could absolutely win the division. The AMPAC have Leonard Fournette's out again. He's struggling with some injuries. Dalvin Cook, the whole AMPAC story. We don't have to go through that whole saga. But the Wheels can absolutely compete with the AMPAC. I don't see any reason why they can't. Saquon Barkley is a stud, and he looks awesome every time he's on the field. He's breaking tackles and he's gaining yards. It's amazing, actually. He's so good. But yeah, I mean the wheels are for real.
Where are the rest of the points going to come from at running back, though? Hank, what are you thinking about, especially at your running back spot as you start to ponder trades and?
Yeah, well, I am hopeful for one of two things. I mean, Nyheim Hines had a great week, last week or this week. I'm not sure which one it was, but he had a really good game. I would love to see him turn into somebody I could start. I would love to see Ronald Jones take the job from Peyton Barber after the Tampa Bay bye week here coming up, and see if he can't be somebody that's going to be good. I mean, again, backing up a topic, but I drafted a bunch of rookie running backs this year because I am rebuilding. My team was last in the league last year, and again, because of the way our league is set up, it's just having chips that may turn into something, little tickets and investments that may get a chance and show something when they do. I think that's how you rebuild. Going, to be kind of pretty strong in this league. I don't know. It's been a while since the Wheels have been really strong. But that's kind of the approach I'm taking. And I would love to see a couple of these guys pan out.
I think there's a trade on the horizon for the Wheels. You're right, Stick. Derrick Henry isn't getting the job done, clearly. He's scored 1, 2, 1, 0 points. Julio Jones just is not getting into the end zone either. That's got to be concerning for Phil. But you know what? However the K-Wheels are doing it, they're still putting up a respectable point total so far this year. So you can't discount that. So I would gamble on the K-Wheels picking up a serviceable running back at some point. They probably do need some depth and some help there. And to go along with Barkley, Kyle Rudolph has actually been pretty decent. So that's it. and he's got three good receivers right now. But you'd like to see Julio Jones get in the end zone for sure, and that drove me crazy with Matt Ryan the last couple years about how they had Julio Jones and he just was not scoring the way he should have.
I mean, that's how I lost the game this week. Is freaking Calvin Ridley out of nowhere scores 2 touchdowns on like 5 receptions, and Julio Jones has 12 receptions for 170 yards and no touchdowns. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's bordering on comical at this point. Yeah, I think they're just fucking with him now. They're Sarkisian or Ryan or somebody.
Yeah.
Saying they can hold it against him during contract negotiations or something.
Maybe the Wheels will make a big time offer for Marshawn Lynch. He's great.
Never know.
I think the problem, and there's not a lot of problems with a 3-1 team that is scoring well, but it's less about Julio Jones and more to me about Derrick Henry. I would feel so much better about this K-Wheels franchise if Derrick Henry were even a competent number 2 running back. Doesn't need to be a stud, but get in the end zone every other week. Get more than 30 yards rushing. Maybe one of these running backs can become a productive starter, but really you need two more productive starters at running back, and Henry is not one of them right now. And it's a shame. He looks like he should at least be Brandon Jacobs.
He looks the part. I mean, and he's got the build and he's the opportunity. I don't know. I mean, do better, Derrick Henry, and I hope he does. But yeah, you're right. He's not getting it done right now, and I would love to see one of these other guys step up. Or you're right, we may be looking at investing. And I guess that's where the earlier question about are they for real? I don't know yet. I think we've had a great start to the season. Beating the AMPAC and the Killers out of the gates is just great. I haven't done that in a while, and so that's fun. And I guess we're going to kind of see. Beat the Beavers. I'm concerned. So I'm hesitant yet to say I'm pushing all my chips in because I'm not sure that I'm ready to go run with the teams that are really going to be good. I think this year, and we'll see if I'm one of them or not. But I'm not sure yet.
You have to have confidence though, and push the chips in.
Well, and you got a record. Deshaun Watson and Will Fuller are great, and Barkley is going to be a stud. And my receivers have been carrying me. Julio, again, even though not scoring, gets 8 or 9 points in yardage alone. That's good. And so I need to get some help at the second running back slot. And but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's early yet. It's early.
All right. Let me, Terry, did you have anything?
No. I'll just say, yeah, I think Hank will make the playoffs. As far as winning the division, I think we all hit it. You guys hit it talking about Derrick Henry and his running back depth. If he doesn't make a move, I'll say he makes the playoffs. He doesn't win the division. If he makes a move, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Send me a big time offer, Phil.
We'll see if it gets to that. We'll see if it gets to that. I'm Berto. I love you, but I'm not sure I want to be dealing with you.
Don't violate your own rule, Hank.
This is the problem. Is I only have a small group of teams that I'm willing to deal with. You're not on that list.
Well, how do I get on that list?
Oh man.
Is there a membership fee? Do I have to pay my dues like Stick paying his alumni dues?
Yes, you must subscribe to the Mystic Messenger.
Yes. All right, let me give you a TFFL trivia answer. We'll start to wrap up here. I'm looking for the last year in which we had a tie in the TFFL.
You made it sound like it was a while ago.
I put a number.
Berto, that's terrible. I wrote it small because I was expecting a part 2 of the question. I don't think it's been that long.
So the answer is 2012.
Whoa!
It has been 6 years. Terry's got 2013.
I have 3.
Yes. Yeah.
You're 15.
Yeah, the number 3.
What is 3?
2013.
So Terry's getting a point here, then.
So Terry gets a point. While you're tabulating stuff, Hank, let me throw some other tie trivia at you. The record for most ties in a single regular season is 4 in 1999. The record for most ties by a single team in a year is 2. K-Wheels have done that twice, actually, in 2002 and 1997.
Who knew?
Wow. Yeah. And ties used to be a lot more frequent. Looking from like 2001 to 2010, there was at least one tie in 8 out of those 10 years. But the last 5 full regular seasons, 2013 through 2017, 0 ties. We had 3 of them, though, in 2012, the last year.
We had one last year in the playoffs.
Didn't end in a tie, though. So, yeah, fairly infrequent, but we've had 2 already this year. We'll see if we can break the record. Terry, run us through the schedule and the game of the week.
I went to reserve lineups.
All right.
Real quick. The overall scoring on trivia now, being as there's very little to update, Chief still leads with 4 points. Terry has rocketed into second place with 3 points.
Wow.
And Hank and Berto are tied for last with 2 points. We're still all in it. We're all in it. We're going to need some multiple point rounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like a 3 or 4 parter, please.
That's gettable.
All right. This week's schedule, we've got 3 games that are, you've got fans of every team, so someone will be watching. And then you've got 3 real good games, I think. You have the 1-3 Killers playing the 2-2 Mongols. You have the Wheels and the Beavers, like we mentioned earlier. You have the 1-3 Lizards traveling to play the Sponge. And then we have 3 games, 2 games that could have qualified as game of the week, but aren't. You have the 2 1-1 Aliens against the 2 1-1 Hams. You have the 3 0-1 Frams against the 2 1-1 Senators. And then the game of the week, Packers at the Devils, both teams in leading their division at 3-1. I would love to see, I don't often root for the Packers, but this week, since he's playing the leader of my division, go Ampac.
No. Go Devils. We need the Devils this week more than ever. Let's go Devils.
Is the visual here for the Ampacs, is that a Dirt Devil vacuum on fire? Is that what that is? I can't quite make that out.
I was trying to figure that out. I think so. So a couple notes on the Ampac lineup. They're going to have 3 guys, it looks like, on Monday night. The Saints defense being one of them, Jamison Crowder. And the other interesting note is their third Monday nighter is going to be Mark Ingram in their starting lineup right now for the first time this year.
Interesting. Very nice. That is a Dirt Devil on fire, and I got to give Ralph kudos. Excellent image. Like it a lot. Well done. But go Devils.
Yeah, I'm going to start paying attention to Ralph's symbols. I didn't notice it till this week when he had Mongol collapse. And then now we got the Dirt Devil on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Dirt Devils lead the series.
Ampac are the heavy favorite according to the website, but part of that is because Nick does not have a kicker in his lineup at the moment. He'll get Phil Dawson in there, but he has lost, forgive me, S. Ficken, the kicker for the Rams. I don't know what the S stands for. Sam. So long, Sam. So that was a wasted free agent move by Nick, but he'll get Dawson in there. He'll get a few more projected points, but he is
Arizona kicker. Wow, come on, Nick, that's terrible, man.
That is his only kicker now, only active kicker.
Yeah,
poor form.
But no, Nick's got a good lineup. Otherwise, Calvin Ridley has suddenly become a very explosive threat. like to see James Conner play a little bit better. But I don't. Looking at the lineups, I don't think he should be such the underdog against the Impact.
I don't either.
James Conner's projected points seem awful high.
They do. Those seem high, but Cousins seems low.
Yeah,
and Ryan seems high.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that is a big game, and as Terry said, several big games, of course. I'm fearing my game against the Hams. That is a very good team right now. We started to see a little separation in the standings this week. Again, we've got 7 winning teams. We've got a couple teams that are winless. At some point here, though, I'm expecting the mush to come back. I think we'll see some upsets and some tightening of the standings here in the week ahead. All right, Phil, you got in your rant already on the fantasy journalist.
Yes, it's been upsetting me. It's been upsetting me from the Chris Conner thing in the ownership relay and this way that they rank the standings of teams. I mean, come on. We even have it in the rules structure that it's first division record is the first tiebreaker. So get it together, com.com.
Any other rants out there, Chief? Chief, you must have a rant.
No, that's kind of like not me.
This is why Terry and Chief are good commissioners, because they hold steady, and I don't do that very well. Berto, you're closer to my direction.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, well, let's wrap up. Good luck to everybody in week 5. We'll be back here again next week on Wednesday night, live at 9:15ish or so. I'll look forward to watching the replay and seeing the comments and the margins. Hope folks have been watching. Fun as always. Again, good luck to everybody. We'll see you here in a week. Take care.
Yanks are up 3-0, by the way.
All right.
Good night.
See you, everyone.